Yeah. What's going on, everybody, on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere? Welcome to the Genesis Block live this morning at 11:24. I think it's 11:24, 11:26. We're a little bit late this morning. I had some technical difficulties trying to do too much with too little. That's how it was. But I am so glad to be here today. Today is a very special day because it is Queen Naja's birthday. So we just want to give a shout out to Miss Queen Naja on her birthday. Appreciate you this morning, Miss Naja. How you doing?
I am incredible, and thank you for all the birthday wishes.
Yeah. Miss Naja, she just turned 15 today. She is 15 years old today. Just for anybody that wants to know and is nosy. Just know that she is 15 years old today. So yeah, man, I don't know if Zay came through yet, but is Zay here?
No, sir.
Yeah, I don't know if Zay's here today. So yeah, and I don't know if I seen him on the Gentleman of Crypto this morning, so I don't know what's going on. But it is what it is. We are here, so that's all that really matters. Everybody saying happy birthday, Queen. Everybody on Facebook is saying happy birthday, Queen. So that's what's up. I'm gonna go on and put them up. Patrick says happy birthday. Tony says happy birthday. So here's the thing, man. I think there's a couple news stories that I definitely want to bring up, and one of them was the difficulty adjustment. That is one that everyone thought was going to go off without a hitch, and it did. Actually, it did what it was supposed to do. The difficulty adjustment happened. I think we dropped about 27% of the hash rate on the Bitcoin network. So that actually happened and went through the way it's supposed to do. I can't say without a hitch because, of course, that's the whole point. It's supposed to have a hitch. Also, in other news, one of the things I wanted to bring up today was there's a gentleman named Steve Hanke. He is a economist, and he is definitely not pro Bitcoin at all. And I want to talk about it because what he basically said. Let me see if I can find that tweet. He basically was talking about El Salvador and how El Salvador was not it wasn't going to be good because with El Salvador accepting Bitcoin, allowing Bitcoin to come into their country, they wouldn't be able to basically do the know your customer. So it says for Bitcoin transactions in El Salvador, it will be nearly impossible for transaction parties to provide complete know your customer information as envisioned under the Bitcoin law. Bitcoin law. Red flags by the Financial Action Task Force are imminent. So I wanted to talk about that. Like, do you all think that economists like this gentleman, Steve Hanke, and other people who are proponents for totalitarianism or authoritarianism, I can't even get the word out, do you all think that is what's going to be one of the biggest fighters against Bitcoin in the future? What do you guys think about that?
I mean, it'd probably be the biggest fight to keep certain people at bay, but I don't. As far as humans involved, I mean, they'll run with that guy's thought and try to push more FUD around. But as far as stopping Bitcoin itself, nah. But human brain, yeah, it can be a problem.
I just find it funny that Steve Hanke is like a senior fellow at the Cato Institute, which is the one who originally, I believe, had published the raid map, like the failed police raid map where they kicked in the wrong door and shot your dog, and bringing attention to that and Constitution and law, and to sit here and take this stance on Bitcoin. I think it goes to prove that all centralized organizations ultimately will not accept Bitcoin at first, and they're going to come around in the future.
I think it's just additional FUD. It brings the price down. I also think that it's like a dog whistle to a lot of these countries that have a whole lot of power in the current monetary system, to let them know, hey, this is some type of communist thing or whatever they're trying to put out there. But I think it's a dog whistle so that the power people, the ones who have the power right now, look at this with more scrutiny.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing about it, his name is Steve Hanke, right? He grew up with the name. Nobody took him serious. So now he's in a position, to cause trouble and bully everybody. So that's what he wants to do.
so, so it's his name that makes him do this. Not the fact that he has grown up he's been indoctrinated to a system where he can't see beyond this. I guess here's my question. Do you all think know your customer laws are that important? And do you all think that's a hindrance to the use of Bitcoin or what, man? What do y'all think about know
Lamar,
your
you got
customer
that
laws?
interference again. You got that interference.
Yeah, people may listen to you after you mix the track and you've got a good recording of your audio, but nobody's going to listen to the rest of the track to get us there to that point, I think.
But we did hear your question.
I think know your customer is just it's overreach and overkill for something that happens maybe 0.5% of the time, and it's just intrusive. And I think it's one of the most intrusive things that has happened on the whole Bitcoin environment. So I think it's very intrusive for no reason.
And yeah, well, I agree with you on that, T-Mod. And then from the other side, being the person that has to do the KYCs, we also, as you all probably know or should know, that the same exact rules and regulations that apply to the bank as far as a SARS report, which is suspicious activity report, has to be filed for any and everybody that is buying more than $10,000. And so I don't know if you all were aware of that, but that is absolutely, I think, is real overreach, because suspicious activity, when we can prove that people have legitimate businesses and stuff like that, it's you know, I don't know, it's a lot.
It's what I'd expect from big government, though. I think it's inevitable that whenever there's something that the people find valuable, governments always have a way of trying to control it, whether it was gold, whether it's oil, resources out there. Whenever people find something valuable, governments will always try to control it as much as possible. That's why the Lightning Network will...
Yeah, also, too, it's not even the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's not about knowing your customer. They need to change the name for them to track people's funds, because it's has nothing to do with knowing your customer.
Honestly, it's all that. Even when it's down to USD, you know, just it's amazing how far tracking goes. As far as like, well, can we get your phone number? Can we get your email? What's the last four of your social? Who do you have a baby by? It's like, I'm just trying to buy groceries. So I think know your customer is an overkill in any currency, but damn sure in Bitcoin, because when you think about it, when you're buying these, when you're doing these illicit activities in cash, you don't know who the hell it is either. So again, like, I agree with Corey. Everybody on stage, really.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things is they're trying to protect their money, and Bitcoin is going to try and find the most efficient flow. It's going to try and find the most efficient energy, renewable power that's the cheapest that it can mine with. It's going to try and find the most efficient route to process its payments with. It's going to try to find the efficient way to solve the equation to confirm every single block. And with the entire financial system as we currently have it, you know, because we use dollars, they're able to siphon off 40 to 60% of remittances to El Salvador. They're able to siphon off interest that they create with money out of thin air when you sign loan papers at the bank. And so this just takes all that away from them. And ironically enough,
Wow.
Ironically enough, puts us where?
In the Matrix. I felt like an agent was trying to take over my body.
yeah, so, sorry. So it ironically enough puts us in a system that's more easily to be tracked and traced. Like the Bitcoin blockchain is a more open network. It just is outside of their control and outside of their ability to peel off a little bit of the inefficiencies in the financial system that they've created, you know, and their solution is to tax and take a little bit more so that way they can just continue to line their pockets. It's the same way, you know, we took $13,000 to print to give everybody a $1,400 check. It's the inefficiencies on that.
Yeah, and what's so interesting is if you look at Steve Hankey's background, so he's a professor of economics at Johns Hopkins. He's the director of the Troubled Currencies Project at the Cato Institute. So he's built his entire career talking about troubled currency. So he has no incentive to fix some of the currency problems that we see around the world. He's held senior appointments in the governments of Albania, UAE, and Yugoslavia. So he gets paid to tell other countries how to fix their currencies. So I actually think that he sees Bitcoin as a threat to his entire business and the brand that he has built as an economist. So there's no way I see him agreeing with Bitcoin because it actually takes him out of a job.
How is that even a job?
It's a huge and wonderful, high-paying job. He wrote a book called Zimbabwe Hyperinflation to Growth. I mean, he has multiple books about the hyperinflation in Zimbabwe, and how bad it is, yet there's no incentive to fix it, right? He just writes about it and does analysis about it. So
I got you. And he has that one solution fix all problem. Yeah, get rid of this. I'm going to give you some green paper. You can print as much as you want.
Absolutely.
And don't worry about it.
He's a state counselor for the Republic of Lithuania. He was a state counselor in the Republic of Montenegro. He was an advisor of the country of Bulgaria, Venezuela, and Indonesia. And all he does is currency work. So absolutely, he hates Bitcoin because Bitcoin puts him out of a job.
And also look at, I just looked at his last 10 tweets. He talks bad about El Salvador. He talks bad about Turkey. He talks bad about Nigeria. He talks bad about China, but yet he talks about the U.S. and the money supply growing, which is a great thing. And he also has Thomas Jefferson plus Patrick Henry as these amazing people. So I kind of put two and two together. I think he's wanting to keep the power that the U.S. already has, and he's putting out as much FUD about anybody else who's a threat whatsoever to it.
Exactly.
Well, as far as the FUD, he's doing something correct. Hope the price drives down. But, like Dr. Charlene said, I mean, forget it, let it ride. But when you combine all of his efforts towards what his career is, it's kind of sad he can speak on so much inflation and still talk down on Bitcoin. It almost makes me think you're really looking at about Bitcoin, but kind of how, if he speaks so highly of the U.S. dollars, then we can already see who's lining his pockets up. So, I mean, this is more so just a situation where somebody is, you're trying to, you got to protect who's paying you. You ain't going to bite the hand who feeds you. And you just see how people will lie to continuously build up their own success and feed you some BS while they're doing it.
Meanwhile, he's probably buying a whole bunch for himself to hedge against his job being lost.
Yeah, because he has to notice
that part.
If everybody has a terrible dollar and 130 some countries are using our money, we're probably the main problem. But I'll stop speaking.
Yeah, if he's an economist and he sees how some of these people are able to circumvent the things that are going on in their countries with Bitcoin, he knows what time it is.
At this point, he just wants to keep that price down because he knows his job is over with. He's going to try to scoop up as much Bitcoin as he can and go on with his retirement because it's over for him.
Unless you become a Bitcoin economist, that'll be the funny part. Because that's what some of these dudes end up doing. You already know that.
That's better job security. But he does have a soundbite. I don't know if you actually heard his latest soundbite. I got it for you. 1 second. I'll play it. Yeah, this is Hanky here. This is Hanky. Bitcoin bad. Cash is good. Bitcoin bad. Cash is good. This is Hanky.
Corey's crazy.
Hanky.
That was great material right there.
Check.
I will say this real quick, too. Go ahead, Lamar, because you said check, and we could actually hear you now.
Like check.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's all this bad energy on stage. Like I think y'all need to take some sage and wipe it out so my voice will be okay. No, I was just checking, man. No, but this is great conversation. I guess Steve Hanke, in the grand scheme of things, he's just a professor. Like, what are professors in the grand scheme of things, right? Like somebody said the other day, the biggest economists aren't the richest people in the world. So, do they really understand economics like they, like they say they do? Like that's the thing.
Well, actually, they do understand economics. You know what I'm saying? But it's where their allegiance lies. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't necessarily mean it's economics that's better for everybody. A global economic thing that's good. It's something that benefits them, right? So they do understand economics. They do understand what will remove them from their fiat power. So they understand it.
And just be clear, just like in law, we have what's called, we get experts. Depending on which side, you can get an expert to say anything. If I'm paying them for the defense, they make it geared towards defense. If it's from the prosecution side or the plaintiff side, it's a totally opposite opinion. And that's the same thing I think that always happens here.
You know what's so funny?
I agree. You can find an economist to support any position, period. Right? It all depends on, to your point, Corey, where that money is coming from. Like who's backing them? What universities are backing them? What countries are backing their research projects? What countries are flying them all around the world and allowing them to write these books to take a position on a certain paper? No, I think he absolutely understands it, but I think it threatens his entire academic position. So of course he's going to spread that bud.
You know what I think is funny though? Is that 1 hour ago, he just made another tweet that says the U.S. money supply continues to surge. With that, inflation will follow. Commodity prices are booming. Just look at crude oil prices and the prices you pay at the gas pump. So him understanding inflation and not understanding the benefits of what Bitcoin does to basically fight against that same inflation is funny to me. Like, it's extremely funny to me that he's either that or he just doesn't believe in it because he doesn't understand the technology. You know what I'm saying? So it's very, very, very interesting that an hour ago he made this tweet talking about inflation and inflation will follow. And we all know that basically Bitcoin is a hedge against that inflation because it is actually a provably limited resource. That is the craziest thing, man.
Yeah, but some economists don't view inflation as bad, though, right? Like they say it's a healthy part of the system. And what he pointed to was probably where in some part his money potentially lies, right? As that traditional hedge, right? You go to commodities, you go to oil, you go to gold, you go to these types of things to do what? Combat inflation overall. But if you do have an uptick in the travel side and all these other things like that, it's benefiting some people. It may not necessarily be benefiting the consumer overall, but that's one of the things, right? It's two different mindsets of a investor versus a consumer, right? Two different things. And I will quickly add this too. We saw similar rhetoric in some points in time come out of the congressional hearing that they had as well, saying that, hey, you know, if Bitcoin does the things that is basically meant to do, then the Fed will have no control over it. And the Fed always needs to control the monetary policy because Bitcoin basically already has its own monetary policy built in, right? So you have a whole bunch of people's jobs that are threatened and have been threatened. And quite frankly, that has been the thing to slow down Bitcoin adoption, right? How can we figure out what to do with this? What patents can we be filing in the background? What other things can we be doing? What all of this stuff can we set up so that a system can be in place once our traditional system is replaced, right? And that consistently happens. Overall. So as soon as they really figure out how to tax this and how to do some other things, we'll start to see more favorable policy. That's my personal position. If they can start to extract money out of the system and continue to line their pockets and protect their power in some way, shape, or form, things will move forward. If that doesn't happen, go ahead, Madam Charlene.
No, I agree with you, Ryan, and I think in someone who's an economist, this guy is a pure academic, so he absolutely understands inflation, but he probably is just boggled as he thinks about the blockchain and thinks about that technology. So while he has the background to make the decision to invest in Bitcoin, he probably won't because he doesn't understand the technology part. And I actually think that's what stopped a lot of people, right? So you have some technology folks that might have been developing. Most of them probably invested, but maybe some of them didn't because they didn't have an investing mindset, right? They were, they had lots of money from high salaries, but they didn't necessarily focus on making their money work for them. So I think that we make a lot of assumptions that people, if they know better, they're going to do better. And I think that that's true, but I also think there's a mindset shift that even the smartest people just might not have enough wherewithal to connect the dots to actually make the decision and invest.
Charlene, you hit it. Mindset. I think we underestimate mindset and how tough it is for people to change. And I used to be a professor, a couple different universities, and it was just amazing to me how they thought. I mean, it was very retro. It was difficult for them to embrace what was coming, the next stages. And it took years. Just look at our education system. Same issue. Our education system is about 50 years dated. And nobody's really, it's very difficult to make those changes to get us to where we need to be. And we all know that learning styles, we know there's like 32 different types of learning styles, and we now need to address those things to be impactful. That's why we went from being number 1 in education to like number 20th in education. Anyway, that's just a side note.
Also, I looked at one of Hankey's tweets, and he had said that El Salvador making Bitcoin legal tender was forced. It forced people to use it. However, I look back at the history, and the U.S. has many times forced the U.S. dollar upon other countries, Libya being one of them. But, yeah, I think it's just propaganda.
Yeah, so when you mention propaganda and we talk about mindset, so if we're like reading the paper here, in the abstract, it talks about how in the middle of the night, El Salvador's Congress hastily passed the Bitcoin law. And then he goes on to talk about how we cannot opine on the details surrounding the scheduled launch of the Bitcoin law. Talking about how everything's going to be changing. And then we go down a little bit further and we talk about where he wants to talk about the Financial Action Task Force, the world's premier money laundering and terrorist financing watchdog, that it's comprised of 39 nations. And then we go down further where it talks about regulations and due diligence and all this tracing of money, where it's going, why the transaction is taking place, and how this ensures that individuals conducting the virtual asset transactions are of credible status and performing the transaction with a logical business purpose in mind. So we talk about propaganda here. He's definitely saying like Bitcoin is bad, financial regulation is good. Surveillance and enforcement networks, that my organizations I've been a member of have been against. This is actually good in this scenario. So just ignore Bitcoin, stick with the U.S. dollar.
Bitcoin bad.
That
is good.
It's amazing how people in his position will call Bitcoin bad. But I want to know how many people on the panel know this, that in 2009, during the last recession, basically America lost $9 trillion, and no one can find it. And I'm pretty sure Hankey knows this, right? So it's always hard for me to hear how people say how bad Bitcoin is and just blatantly overlook all the mishaps that's been going on with the current system and the current dollar.
And what happened to all of these regulation agencies that, brought up HSBC Global? And then, HSBC Global ended up like getting off the hook, right? They paid like a little slap on the wrist. But these are like one of the biggest money laundering banks on record.
Once again, because it's their allegiance, like they're in a network.
You talk about crooked, man. And they do it all with cash. You want to know how to make cash disappear? Find HSBC Global. They'll launder it for you.
That's not financial advice, by the way.
Right.
That's
Indeed.
how to that's how to build a country.
I mean, the other thing to think about too is that um, two pieces here. One, there have been more people in the crypto space to go to jail over quote unquote crimes and things of that nature, right? Within the space. Um, and then two, anytime that traditional entities break laws, if they are ever quote unquote, if those laws are enforced, they pay fines. Well, if they're a publicly traded company, what does that mean? That means that ultimately the taxpayer is responsible and their investors are responsible for paying that fine. It's not necessarily the company itself, it is the investor. So at all points in time, people are being hit from all different angles and directions and things of that nature, and thinking that even if some of these things are prosecuted and stuff like that, it's still not the company that's ultimately paying, right? So we have to get outside of the system. We have to look to something that is built on something, right, that is in a way more equitable for all of us, and that's really the key piece there. Until those things happen, people have no incentive in the traditional space to do otherwise, right? They don't. This is
I
what
wonder what
I'm
the
done
U.S. will
speaking.
say. Oh, my fault. I wonder what the U.S. will say once they go through all these procedures, and maybe if they own 4 or 5 million bitcoins, what their new motto would be, what they would be saying about Bitcoin once they own it. Because I think they're just saying a lot of this bad stuff because they don't own all of it yet. Kind of like with the gold, they make gold illegal to hoard until they own most of it, and then all of a sudden they say, okay, you can have it now.
We still here? I think I think this leads me to ask, is this, with the banking thing and banks adopting and stuff like that, that gives, the government a little bit more leeway to add their little 2 cents, right?
Yeah, for sure. So when we talk about like KYC and things of that nature, that's their way of tracking. They track the on and off ramps when it comes to banks or it comes to exchanges. And I personally think that that's a way to eventually, let the American government be able to hoard as much Bitcoin as they possibly can, whether through voluntary purposes like paying taxes on a discount or through forced collections, which could possibly happen because they just had a meeting. I think it's the G7, all the top countries in the world, they met together to see how they can control the on and off ramps. But I haven't heard the update from what went on in that meeting. But yeah, so KYC is just the first step. But I think eventually they're going to try to hoard all the Bitcoin they possibly can, and then say Bitcoin is a great asset on the back end.
And while we're on that note, I'll just do a quick report and let you all know that I went by the other over-the-counter exchange this weekend, and the feds have both of their front and back door chained up where nobody can get in it. Just
What?
FYI.
Wow.
That's also in LA, Ms. Naja?
Yes, in LA. It's here. It's in San Pedro, which is the same city where our Crypto Kids camp is. But yeah, they're all chained up. Big, huge chains. They can't go in if they wanted to.
Wow.
Wow.
So crypto blockchain needs security.
No, and a lot of attorneys.
Shit, the security.
A lot of
Security
attorneys.
ain't
What was the
gonna
reason for that?
Attorneys.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, they need a couple. Great.
What was the reason that they got that happened to them? Do you know, Naja?
Nope, nobody wants to. Nobody's talking. Nobody's talking. The owners are out of the country, so, um, but nobody is talking. So they've shut down all of their did their Telegram. Everything is shut down. So I'm still looking. I'm trying to figure it out, but. Yep, that was the status just a couple of days ago. I mean, not a couple ago. I went by there on Saturday.
It seems like to me there are a lot of people, like we were talking about. I think Ryan had mentioned a lot of people had been arrested or and put in jail in the crypto space, and it just seems like being the front runners, people are carrying the heavy burden and taking those, taking those L's as far as these the sentences. And I just can't help but also see that a lot of these things happen to like the brothers or the sisters that are in the space. They are targeted to me because it's like we only have a few and all of them have been somewhat harassed or, you know, been in jeopardy of going to jail or on their way to jail.
In crypto space is definitely there are brown brothers. Well, we're brown too, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, brown brothers and sisters. So they're Mexican.
That I knew that had to be a factor somewhere. And isn't it just like coinky dink that it happens at this time when they would have a jump on everybody because they're dealing with Spanish speaking people. I don't know. I could get, I'm the resident conspiracy theorist, so.
And I'm your protege, so we on the same page.
Yes, I just find that very, very suspicious at this time for it to be happening. But we'll have to wait for more info. But it just always seems like that's how it fares out.
Not that we needed that as a confirmation, but at least we know Bitcoin is doing what we know it's supposed to and going to. We just have to make sure that we're covered on all cases. I mean, it's beautiful to see that we're early in this thing and we can, adjust accordingly. I'm just thankful that that's, to be able to see that or know this knowledge because I didn't have any idea. So thank you, sister, for bringing that up.
And what do y'all think about the like on-chain data and what exchanges have been doing as far as they're now at like 6-month lows on their supplies of Bitcoin. What do y'all think about that? So the exchange is at a 6-month low on their supply for Bitcoin.
Get your money, get your crypto off the exchanges, because if we see another run up at the end of this year, 4 years ago, if we look at the cycles strictly by the charts, if you look at that, and if they already have a low supply, they're going to run out, and more than likely, you're not going to be able to do any transactions. And if the government does get involved, I personally, I have a conspiracy theory, but I feel like you're going to see a lot of seizing of a lot of cryptocurrency on these exchanges pretty soon. So that's why we preach as much as possible, get your crypto off the exchanges. No keys, no cheese.
And it's,
go ahead.
no, go ahead, Miss Naja.
No. I was just going to ditto what he was saying, but I really feel like the more educated our community becomes and starts to pull our cryptocurrency off these exchanges have been surviving for the last several years. And I don't want to say surviving. They've been thriving because of the ignorance, and not in a bad way, but people didn't know that they shouldn't keep their crypto on the exchange. So they've been able to arbitrage. They've been able to do all this stuff because people have left their Bitcoin on the platforms. And so now that people are getting smart and starting to put it in their wallets and do all the things that they should have been doing years ago, truth be told, they don't have to ever give you your Bitcoin, of course, you know that, unless you pull it off. So really, I think they've been double and triple selling Bitcoin because people weren't holding them accountable by pulling their Bitcoin off their exchanges. And that's why I know several, I can name a few, but I know that they've been doing really well because, again, they've been doubling and triple selling Bitcoin because nobody have been just pulling it off, so they don't have to give it to you. So I just wanted to say that. So they've been low on their Bitcoin, but now that people are starting to pull it off, it's causing them to be accountable for really releasing and getting stuff back to people where it's supposed to be. So I just wanted to say that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, sounds like the banks right before the Great Depression, because they're lending out all this money and it's going other places when they should be holding on to it. And if they don't keep that, 20 or whatever the reserve amount was, even if they're only keeping a 30% of the reserve, that means if 100% of people try to take it out, it's not enough for everybody. So that creates a huge, huge problem, especially in this crypto space, because it's not the technology you'd be mad at. You'd be mad at the exchanges, and most of these exchanges are centralized. So it's not the tech to get mad at. Bitcoin's not the problem. It's a lot of those exchanges.
I also think too,
Hey, what's
when I
going
think
on?
about that, Chikumi, it's a good sign. It's a good sign that despite all the FUD and all of the other news that has been kind of, clouding people's direction and their long-term holding plans, that just means that the supply is still leaving out of here. So that's kind of an indication that I get.
Word. And that's why again, because coming back to it, that's why I definitely appreciate BBB and all the other educators that come through and that give proper information to people on how to self custody the Bitcoin, how to manage it, and everything. We're all familiar with the term KYC, right? But there is a term KYG, know your government, and know that your government will do anything that it can to control your money and to control the people and to monitor the people. And there's also KYE, know your exchange. You know what I'm saying? Like, learn the ins and outs about how your exchange operates. You know what I'm saying? Are you able to take your currency off? You know what I'm saying? All these other terms. So
Google
shout out
Fi,
to all the
a phone
educators
plan by Google.
that's
With our
educating
privacy and security features, you can block robocalls and spam
on
calls.
Bitcoin.
With that being said, if you have not already, please click the green house at the top of the screen. As you see, it's plenty of useful information, insightful information, and it's the dopest Bitcoin group out here. So join the family.
And if you're on YouTube, subscribe to that YouTube channel.
Now, where'd Margo?
Man, don't bring him back. You know he's still troubleshooting that audio.
Lamar's knee deep in a project. You know how he gets.
Your mama's troubleshooting audio.
Oh, man. Angie came back crystal clear. Crystal clear.
Cause that's what I'm saying. I wasn't over here troubleshooting no audio.
Lamar, man, stop eating them steaks, man. Let's get the show on the road, bro.
Hey, that's where they go, man. Now, y'all doing a good job, though. Y'all holding it down. I'm just over here just making sure that I got it. Because the thing is, I got the audio the same way I usually have it. I was trying something new, and that's what happens. Let me leave a lesson for everyone. When you try something new, sometimes you're going to mess up and make mistakes. You're going to fail. And guess what? All of your real friends, they're going to be the ones that have your back. The other people, they're going to laugh at you and mute you and talk about you and say all kinds of things about you. So only hold on to those people that have your back and realize that, hey, we can make things better. All right, that's my commercial for the day. Let's go to questions, man. Let's see. On YouTube and Facebook, On YouTube, it says, so how are the exchanges making money when it was time to get your payout? Will they have it? So I guess I'll go ahead and answer that. This is Less Square. It says, so how are the exchanges making money? Well, here's the thing. The exchange doesn't have to have any Bitcoin to actually make money on your money. What they can do is they can have a database that basically says you have this amount of Bitcoin, or that they have that amount of Bitcoin for you, and then they're gonna basically trade that, or change that in the database, change those records in the database, and every time they make a change in the database, they take a little bit more of your money. So they don't have to have the Bitcoin for there to actually be some money making on these exchanges. And that's what people have to understand. That's when you're fractionally trading. That's when they don't have the actual coins, but they're allowing you to get price action on the coins themselves, which in a lot of industries that's illegal. In Bitcoin, that really hasn't been regulated. So that's how the exchanges make money. They make money on your trades. Whenever you trade, they usually charge a small fee for those trades, and they just keep compounding those over time.
I.e. Robinhood.
And then the second question was, when is it time to get your payout? Will they have it? That's the thing. So a lot of people believe that if you did a run on Robinhood, but that's the thing, they don't let you get your Bitcoin. But if you did a run on Robinhood, and after they said they wanted to, they said they allow you to get your Bitcoin, if you did a run, and what I mean by that is if everybody decided to take their Bitcoin out at the same time, a lot of people believe that they don't actually have it. And that's what you see going on right now. When people are saying that Robinhood probably is fractionally trading, PayPal potentially may be as well. The only ones that you can pretty much say aren't, for the most part, and we don't even know that if that's completely real, are the ones that allow you to get your Bitcoin off of the platform after you buy it, like to be able to send it to a new wallet.
Lamar, did you pay attention to what Robinhood's symbol is on the when it comes out?
It's probably Rob.
No, it's Hood.
Oh, it's Hood. It's the other
It is
side.
Hood. Yeah, crazy.
That's crazy.
Oh, that's their ticker symbol?
That's gonna be once they come out. That's their ticker symbol. Yeah, Hood. Sorry, I'm working on it. It's Peloton. Trying to get this stuff down.
Yeah, man. Got to get your wattage up.
That makes a lot of sense. I've been saying for about 3 years, Robin Hood is Robin the Hood. So that's the perfect one for him. I'm going to keep saying it.
It's so crazy because when I first got into, this space, I was, with the FOMO and brothers, cousins and all of that close to me. Man, I'm on Robinhood, this, that, and the third. And then I started getting the education out, and I went right back, and I was like, bruh, get out of it. Get out of Dodge. Do not collect $200.
Well, you can't collect $200. You go on and cash out.
Right.
Hey, here's the thing, you all. The stage is now open for people on Clubhouse to hop up on stage, so we can ask questions. Because I just asked one on YouTube, and we haven't had Miss Naja here for a little bit. So, man, these people are still. So listen, anybody out there in the Facebook world, I am still getting hit. I block every user that I possibly can, and we are still getting hit with this spam. And it only happens as soon as I go live. So I'm trying to figure out how to stop alerting their bots in some form or fashion. I don't know how to go through and clean up my followers list, but that's what's really going on right now. So,
what spam are you talking about, Lamar?
There's tons of spam. Like, people keep putting up these, asking for your coins, talking about Ethereum, all of these things on my Facebook comments. They do it every week. And sometimes they use my name, and then they'll use other people's name and say, "Hey, Lamar, that was amazing." So yeah, that's what you got to be careful of. Do not listen. I'm not asking you for any money through Facebook comments while I'm on an actual what do you call it? Live. Right? They don't even make sense. Like, I'm gonna be typing up like, "Yeah, send in your money now." And I'm not doing none of it. So don't believe any of these people.
Clear. Let's make sure you're clear. You're not going to be doing it when you're online or offline.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you for no money, like, especially not with no Bitcoin address in a Facebook comment. It just makes no freaking sense. I just don't believe any of that stuff. You're not going to get up. You're not going to get up off of that. I'm just telling you right now. Let's see. What's the best place to start other than Robinhood? Where can I start? Coinbase, Moomoo, Cash App. That's a question from YouTube.
What the hell is Moomoo?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I would have to say that of the options suggested, Cash App would probably be the one that I would go with. They offer a dollar cost average option, or doing instant smash buys. You can buy as little as like $5 worth of Bitcoin on Cash App. So if you already have that and you're set up, I think that's a really good option there.
All right. Well, we got some questions on Clubhouse, so we're gonna go ahead and can we move to Clubhouse, Lamar?
Oh, yes, ma'am, for sure.
All right, Oflo, welcome to the stage. Welcome, sir.
How you guys doing? Hope you all are well.
Great.
My question is, have you guys signed a petition to make Bitcoin legal tender in the USA yet?
I know I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I didn't even know
there was one.
I didn't even know there was one.
I signed it.
Nice. Yeah. I started the first petition for Bitcoin to be legal tender in the USA about a month ago, and just to start the conversation, and we already have over 1,500 signups. And I think for the Bitcoin community, I think it's a very important conversation as Bitcoin takes medium of exchange and moves into a unit of account, for it to become a major conversation in the USA. So yeah, it'd be nice to get more people into it and just sharing the conversation and signing it.
So since you brought it up, where do we find the petition, Oflo?
It's change.org/Bitcoin legal tender.
Got you. I do a lot of petitions on change.org, so thank you. I will look that up.
Is it in your bio? Why don't you put it in your bio too?
It is in my bio as well. If you,
I was going to say, if you click on view full profile and click on his Twitter, he does have it pinned to the top of his Twitter.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And back to you, Lamar, on YouTube and Facebook.
All right, let's see. Next question. Is BlockFi safe to use? By Vince on YouTube.
No keys, no cheese. I know I've personally done loans on some of these platforms, but Lamar educated me and let me really understand that if you put your crypto on any exchange, you are literally giving them the scarce asset. So when you do that, you're taking a risk. You do have other ways to borrow against your crypto, such as like Unchained Capital and things of that nature. Just know that whenever you put your crypto, when you give it to anybody else and they have possession of it, you don't own your keys at that moment. So that is a risk that you're taking.
Do we have another moderator that wants to chime in on that? If not, we will move back to Clubhouse. All right. Daryl, welcome to the stage.
Hey team. Thanks for all the information shared in this session. As usual, Ms. Naja, I have a question about the Black Wall Street app. The way that I kind of understand my way through wallets, the hot versus warm, is the Black Wall Street app just a hot wallet, or is that actually a warm wallet where Bitcoin can be stored digitally there? Like, I guess self-owning or whatever. And forgive me for not having all the terminology down.
No, and that's fine. It is 100% a hot wallet. You
Okay.
do not possess your private keys on the on the Black Wall Street wallet. So it is definitely a hot wallet, and we will be working to change that. That's one of the big things that I suggested that needs to be changed. And so as liquidity becomes available, which means we will be owning our own Bitcoin as opposed to using a escrow company, those things will be changing. So that's what we're working on right now. But looking forward to becoming a warm wallet very soon.
What might be the best beginner's warm wallet? Just starters. I mean, I get the knowledge from you all, but any suggestions for like a starter warm wallet?
I still rock with Edge. A lot of people use Exodus. I rock with Edge because Edge supports our community. There's also we're talking warm wallets. So yeah, Edge is what I would suggest. If there's any other moderators that have any other thing, they can definitely share. If you hit me, I'll send you a link for the Edge wallet. But yeah, they really are pushing initiatives to help our community as well, just on boots on the ground type of way.
I use the Exodus wallet. I don't know what they do to support our community, but I would be willing to move over to an Edge. I just don't know what Edge is doing to support the community, but I'm interested in learning more.
From what we do here in the office, all the crypto virgins that come in, any events that I do where there are crypto virgins, Edge actually gives me Bitcoin to give to the black community specifically, for everybody that's brand new. So we do that through all of our events, and they've been our sponsor for the past 3 years. Every month, keeping it 100. Every month they send probably close to $700 just so we can give out Bitcoin, $5 per person, which is not a lot, but it's better than nothing. Just so you all know, so you know who we're dealing with. And the owner of Edge is Filipino, and so he wants to make sure,
Hello, guys.
that our community is Israel. You're gonna be going off
Why?
because it's not your turn, sis.
Hello, guys.
All right. But anyway, that I just shared that with you all because this is family. We're keeping it real, so that's what's happening. And as you all know, for the hot wallet, Cash App is one of our sponsors, and so it's always good to have different options. So we're not just on here pushing, certain apps because they support us, but the ones that are, we want to let you all know. So Cash App has been a huge sponsor of the Black Bitcoin Billionaires. So if you're looking for, another way to quickly get Bitcoin, as Josh said, Cash App is a place. And then when you're looking at another storage possibility, please do look at Casa.keys. They're another supporter of the Black Bitcoin Billionaires. So we got some wallets we can work with. So, and it doesn't hurt you to have all of the above. You can have a Black Wall Street wallet, a Cash App, a Exodus, Edge, Casa, like a Ledger and a Trezor. Like you can do all those things. So just make sure that you always have you have options. And literally, I have them all. So I just wanted to share that as we move forward.
And I'm just going to give you a couple more warm wallets out there. While we're giving some suggestions, I use Blue Wallet. I use it for a warm wallet as well as for a Lightning wallet. Breeze Wallet is going to be another one out there that I know Mar recommends. That's BREEZ. And then a third is going to be Moon Wallet, MUUN. And so all three of those will allow you to do warm wallet on-chain Bitcoin transactions as well as second layer Lightning transactions. So if you're looking at a warm wallet, I personally look for one that allows me to do both.
Thank you, Josh. So Lamar, we are moving back to you on Facebook and YouTube.
Yep. Can you earn interest if you hold crypto off the exchanges like Celsius? So, yes, that's the same. I think I'll just go quickly answer. That's the same answer that CJ gave about no keys, no cheese. Celsius, what they do is they rehypothecate your actual Bitcoin, which basically means you give them the Bitcoin so you can earn interest, and they take that Bitcoin and give it to someone else to trade with it or whatever they're going to do with it. And that means that you're basically giving your Bitcoin over to someone, and then they're giving it to someone else, which means that if they don't get it back, right? If that other person loses your Bitcoin while they're doing their gambling or they're speculating, so to speak, then you don't get it back, because what happens if the price goes up, they don't have the same amount of money. And the thing is about those platforms is that if you come in at, like, say you put $40,000 worth of Bitcoin in to gain interest on, they're going to take the dollar value and that's all they're going to return back. So if your $40,000 looks like $80,000, what's going to wind up happening is you're going to lose that value if they lose your $40,000 worth of Bitcoin that you put in from the beginning. So that's what happens in that environment. So you just have to be careful and realize that a lot of times, that what's the point of earning interest? And as the price goes down, your interest is going to go lower anyway. We see that right now. They're offering far less interest than they used to. So I don't know if it's really worth the risk of actually allowing these folks to rehypothecate your Bitcoin. But it's all on you. So you do what you want to do. This is about being self-sovereign, about doing your own thing. If you feel like you can risk a few Bitcoin, you do what you do. I just don't feel comfortable with it because they are rehypothecating. So that's just my answer. Anybody else?
Let me Google rehypothecating.
I already told you what it meant. Did you listen to what I just said?
So
I literally just said it.
No, I get it.
Man, who said that, man? Who said
our
that?
resident.
Hold on,
Oh.
who said that, man? Who said rehypothecate? Who said it? No, I'm just messing with you, man. We all good. I'm all good, man.
If you had everybody scared to speak up, but our resident scholar Ryan was getting ready to chime in. Go ahead, Ryan.
Now, what I would say is, if they're really talking about proof of stake coins and things of that nature, right, or tokens, look into the wallet that is typically provided by some of these entities, some of those tokens and things of that nature. Typically, once you reach a certain amount, then you can stake within the wallet, right? That may be a better, direction, if you will, if they're thinking about it. And also Google how some of these entities and companies, right, are actually losing partnerships and sponsorships and things due to them over rehypothecating, right? That means that their loan to value ratios are structured in a way that is putting them at the same risk of some of the banks and things of that nature. And you really don't want that within this space, right? It's one thing to actually give up your keys and things, right? Like that's already what it is, especially if you're on an exchange. Is another thing to then go in and start to borrow against some of your holdings, right? And then get margin call just because you didn't use a proper loan to value ratio and things of that nature. So you don't want to be on the end where you're trying to get 6% or 12% and then wind up losing out on your actual crypto, right? Like that's one of the main things that people are not highlighting enough is the margin calls. How many people actually survive that 40-50% drop if they borrow significantly against their crypto to do whatever they was doing? So just keep that in mind. This is Ryan. I'm done speaking.
And I have to say it just because some people didn't hear it last time. My son was one of the people that did not survive that Ryan is talking about in this. I believe it was last month. He lost an entire. He lost a half of a Bitcoin because his loan to value dropped, and he couldn't throw enough money at it to keep them from taking his collateral, which was his Bitcoin. So just FYI, it does happen, and it happens often, but you don't hear a lot about it. But yeah, my son is one that absolutely did lose Bitcoin when the price of Bitcoin dipped to right around 30, I think it was. So anyway, just wanted to say that.
Which platform did he use, Naja?
I believe he was on it wasn't Celsius, it's another one. I'll text him real quick and find out, because he's a gambler, so he does like a lot of this stuff. But again, he got to pay tuition. He doesn't listen, so he got to pay his tuition, and that's what he's doing. So, but I will get the name of the platform in a second. I'll tell you in a few minutes. And we are back on Clubhouse with our questions. Daryl, was that it for you today?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, team.
Oh, you are so welcome. And this next young lady, I have the pleasure of introducing. She was on tour with me all 39 days as my videographer and photographer. Just have grown to love her and adopt her. Got another child in my life. So, anyways, this is Miss Valissa Tate, who is phenomenal. But anyway, Valissa, what's your question, young lady? Good morning. I don't think
Hello. Hello.
we can't hear you. And Shiva, you're gonna have to hold on, my brother.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. You gotta talk a little louder.
Okay, so it's not really a question. So, I can always wait, or I guess I can, you know,
Was it
provide
a
some info
comment?
now. It is a comment.
Okay, go ahead, but you gotta talk a little louder.
Okay. I have a very soft voice, so I'll try my best. But, for anybody who has any kind of influence over the community or the public, it doesn't matter like if you have 18K followers or if you have 1,000 followers, right? If you have any sort of influence, and especially financially, anybody can apply for verification on Instagram, and I believe it works the same. I'm not really 100% sure for Facebook or Twitter, but you can do that. I'm sure they have the same ideal because I don't think their aim is to make you look like a celebrity, but more so for protection because you have to provide your license and any documents that show you're of influence over the community.
So you telling Lamar to get verified, huh?
Yes.
All right, Lamar, get verified. Thank you, Valissa. Lamar, back to you on the stage.
You already know I've been trying forever, but it is what it is.
Back to you on Facebook and YouTube.
Everybody's birthday's going on. We got callers coming in. Caller number one, ID yourself.
Yeah, my name is Coca-Cola, and it's
Major
my
shout out to
birthday.
Miss
I want to
Naja
give a shout
today.
out to my Uncle Maine and Freddie G.
Hold up. This is your boy Hurricane, aka Hurricane Season, and I had to do a remix to this.
We gon' swing, come on. We gon' ball, come on. We gon' swing, we gon' swing, we gon' ball, come on. We gon' swing, come on. We gon' ball, come on. We gon' swing, we gon' swing, we gon' ball, come on. We gon' ball like it's your birthday. 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 We gon' ball like it's your birthday.
It's your birthday. What's up, Miss Naj? I just wanted to do that for you. All right, let me see. Next up, is there any preferable credit cards to use when making a purchase? Is there any preferable crypto credit cards? That's what I'm missing to use when making purchases. Also, in regards to using a program that can get you Bitcoin when making purchases. Blessings.
If I may, we have the Fold app, which I use. Shout out to my brother CJ for putting me on. You can get sats back, and also there is a daily spin, so you can get Satoshis daily.
Also, Cash App has a boost. They have a Bitcoin boost. So if you use your Cash App card, you can just request it from them. You shop at all the regular places that you would shop. And then you go into the Cash App platform and hit Bitcoin Boost on your Cash Card, and you get rewarded in Satoshis. 3 or 5% of your purchase is the reward that they give. So that's Cash App.
Lolly is another one.
I was going to say Lolly as well. And for those of you that shop at Sam's Club, that reward back is huge. Every month, I at least get $40 in Bitcoin back from all the shopping that I do at Sam's Club. And that's online. So just FYI. So it's not, I don't use a card, but yep, Lolly is good.
Yeah, and see, all of those are good because you spend US dollars and accumulate Bitcoin. Be very, very careful of any crypto credit cards where you're spending cryptocurrency, because not only can you create a huge tax bill, but you can also create a huge accounting bill to generate your taxes.
Yes, and then last thing I would say about spending your crypto, because there are some cards that tell you can spend your crypto, and CJ is absolutely right. But what I try to do is really get people out of the mindset of spending. This is a space where right now I don't think that we should be thinking about being the consumers, spending our actual cryptocurrencies, our Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever else you have. We need to be in a position of investing and saving right now, just until we really fully to these things. I don't even want to say fully reach their potential, but semi reach their full potential because they're not there yet. So just really trying to get that word out and ask everybody to please kind of be patient. This is not financial advice, but we are not in a we're not in a race to be spenders, but savers right now, so that we can kind of lay low and see what this does. And I think that you'll be very happy to see what it does in the very near future. So, just a side thought. And that being said, I believe we are going to Lucia. Lucia, welcome to the stage.
Good morning. It's Lucia calling from California. Thank you so much for allowing me up on stage. I had a question. Thank you. I really appreciate the club, and I get a lot of value from it. I heard mentioned a little while ago about Unchained Capital, using that as an alternative to getting a loan rather than having your coins rehypothecated over at Celsius and other places. Can somebody talk about Unchained Capital a little bit, how they work and what their services are? Thank you.
Yeah, so it's similar to a Celsius or to a Nexo or BlockFi in the sense where you can take a loan out. Typically, you get less of a percentage of the loan out on your crypto than those others because you are able to hold on to your keys. They use a two-step verification process. So you still own your keys, but they also own your keys as well. It just prevents them from keeping the whole shebang. So it's a better, to me, a better system than the others because you still hold on to your private keys. However, if you drop below a certain amount of total value that they have, they can take some of your cryptocurrency because it's kind of like a collateral aspect. So say, easy numbers, you give them $100 worth of Bitcoin, they give you $40 back of US dollars. If your $100 drops below, let's say $60, then they can take some of your cryptocurrency for themselves. So you have to be very, very careful of that. Typically, the interest that you're paying is on a daily basis. The interest rates are still pretty good, but it's always up to their algorithms on Unchained Capital. So everybody's going to be slightly different than the next person. But typically, it's about a 40% loan percentage that they allow you to take out.
For Unchained Capital, they actually do not rehypothecate. So that is one of the major benefits of using them. But they also do not pay you any quote unquote interest, right? It's Bitcoin only at this point in time, which is the difference between the other platforms, right? And as CJ did mention, they use a multi-signature setup. So you control one private key, they control another and another. But if anything, and you need 2 out of the 3 in order to make any moves. If you go to their website, they have different service levels and things, whether it's personal, whether it's business, and stuff of that nature. You'll find more people using this as well for businesses. So you can take out business loans. There are no credit checks and things. So then that way you can leverage your collateral or leverage your Bitcoin in order to expand your business and make moves that way. This is Ryan. I'm done speaking.
And since we're back on the loan thing, my son texted me. He lost his Bitcoin to coinloan.io. Coinloans.io.
And on that note, I think we're going to shut down what's going on Facebook and YouTube because there aren't any more questions. And it's good to just let everybody know, like, don't mess with coinloan.io. But yeah, thank you very much, man. I appreciate everybody for coming through the Genesis block today. If you are on Clubhouse, stick around because we always have the after show. So yeah, this is the Genesis Block, July the 5th at 12:36 p.m. We are closing it down, making sure that we try to stick to a shorter schedule now. But yeah, man, appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody who is right. What does that say? On YouTube, Facebook, everywhere. Thank y'all. Appreciate you guys. And make sure that you tune in next week at 11 a.m. 11-ish. Today it was 11:26. But we appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. And with that said, live, love life. If you live love, you'll love your life.